If you watch my videos until the very end, and judging by the average view duration on my YouTube channel, you probably don't, then you know that I am not very good at dancing. Another thing that I'm not really good at is skiing. So you must be asking, why on Super Earth am I going to spend the next minutes reviewing this indie skiing game instead of jumping into my helpod to spread democracy and liberty? Well, dear viewers and fellow GamerDads, it's because sometimes after a particularly stressful day during which I used all my available neurons, I don't necessarily want to deal with the unending waves of alien bugs and robots. I'd much prefer being alone and just chill. And Lonely Mountains Snow Riders is a great game for those occasions, if you can get past its quirks. Welcome to the Games for Dads series. In these videos I review games not in the traditional sense, but more from a GamerDad point of view. Meaning I will be focusing on answering questions like how long before we can start enjoying the game given how little time we have on our hands? Can the game fit in our busy and probably chaotic schedule as family man? Will we be able to play the game with our friends or maybe kids even, without worrying about online toxicity? Is the game worth investing our money in? And last but not least, does it have scummy monetization? Let's dive in. This game is quite easy to jump in, but there is a caveat. The first time you start the game, you can go through a very simple and quick tutorial explaining the surprisingly intuitive controls, after which you are ready to go. Now, to the caveat. You will immediately notice that the camera is fixed, which means that as your character is riding the slopes, he will sometimes be facing you and sometimes be facing away from you, which can be disorienting, but in my experience, never unfairly punishing or penalizing. Probably because the levels are so cleverly designed. In short, if you get past the fixed camera angle, the game is enjoyable right away. You select a slope, you select your ski, and you ride. You can choose to play solo or online. In solo mode, you have to finish all the trails while completing challenges, which are usually time limits and number of crashes allowed, to gain XP, level up, and unlock new gear and customization options. In online multiplayer mode, you can either compete against other riders or play as a team, but my experience with the team mode was limited to me waiting endlessly in the lobby for others to join, which never happened. More on that later. This game reminds me of games that you would typically find on your phone. Games with a very short yet addictive gameplay loop. You can play this game whenever you feel like it. Completing a slope could take you between 3 to 10 minutes depending on how many times you crash. You progress the game by completing challenges in solo mode or by playing against other players in the multiplayer mode. You can pause and resume if you are interrupted by your kids or significant other. There is nothing to lose if you abort your gaming session. There is no season pass progression to worry about. This game is perfect for those occasions when the baby is taking a nap but could wake up anytime, and for those times when you know you can't commit to a long gaming session because your significant other warned you that she wants to plan for the upcoming vacations and talk about very, very important topics. This game has no age limit or ESRB rating, which means that everyone in the family can play it regardless of their age. This would have been great news if the game had a split-screen local multiplayer mode. Unfortunately, it doesn't, which is difficult to explain given the low-polygon minimalist visuals. I don't think that an Xbox Series X or S, or even an entry-level gaming PC would struggle to render a 4-player, split-screen, local multiplayer mode of this game. And before you say it, no. Hosting an online private match and inviting friends and family members is not exactly the alternatives I am talking about. I hope Megagon Industries addresses this in a future update, because it would add so much more value and appeal for families and gamer dads. So, what are we left with when it comes to multiplayer and co-op? Technically, you can choose between two modes, the team and racing modes. As I said before, there is absolutely no one playing the team mode in my experience. I got stuck by myself in the waiting lobby every single time I tried. I would have thought it was my bad luck or a problem with my network if it wasn't for the fact that I would instantly find a full lobby every time I play the racing multiplayer mode. In which case, you can compete against 7 random players on 3 random slopes. The goal obviously being to be the quickest to reach the finish line, at which point you will have to sit and wait for the others to complete their runs, with very limited ways to communicate with them. There is no push-to-talk feature, no possibility to write a chat message. The only way to communicate is by selecting one of 4 emojis. On the bright side, one could say that there is no online toxicity to worry about in this game. On the slightly darker side, it means that there is zero sense of community or co-op when playing. In short, the game feels like it was designed for solo players and specifically for speedrunners. It is also worth noting that the multiplayer modes are plagued with persistent technical issues like latency, lag, and collision detection. Megagon Industries have stated that they will be addressing these issues ever since the game came out, but so far, it sounds like the empty promises of your significant other regarding nightly activities. So in the meantime, well, Lonely Mountains Snow Riders is mostly a lonely experience. First, let's start with the in-game monetization, since at the time of recording this video, there is none. The only way to unlock additional gear and customization items is by leveling up and acquiring the in-game currency, which are both achieved by simply playing the game. I will always appreciate games that do not force you to pay extra beyond the initial purchasing price. Speaking of which, the game will cost you $25 if you are in the US and 25 euros in Europe. If you don't have an Xbox Game Pass, that is, in which case it is included in the subscription. It is a good price given how replayable and addictive the game is, but the content is relatively limited in my opinion. The game offers 3 environments with 4 trails each, which have 2 slopes each, so in total you have 24 different slopes to beat. Sure, the slopes are quite different and varied, and it will take you some time to complete the 3 challenges for each slope, and even more to unlock all 5 skis and all the customization items. One could even argue that if you are a neurodivergent obsessive perfectionist like myself, or if you like speedrun challenges, then the game is infinitely replayable, because you will never stop chasing that perfect, crashless and fastest ride until you see your name at the top of the leaderboard. But even considering all of the above, 24 slopes feels a bit on the too few side, especially that, judging by Megagon's track record with the very similar Lonely Mountains downhill, we will inevitably get some additional purchasable content in the future. Is this a deal breaker? Absolutely not. It is just that I would have appreciated maybe 1 or 2 more environments to extend the life of the game. Despite all of its shortcomings, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders is an enjoyable game. It offers a unique, soothing and calming experience. You can play it with your kids, even the youngest of them. The chill progression system is perfect if you don't or can't play regularly. The price is very decent and there is no scammy monetization at this point. Its main issue at this point in time is that it is unavailable on PlayStation 5. But if you own an Xbox or a gaming PC, I highly encourage you to give it a try. It gets the GamerDad worth trying stamp. Don't forget to like, subscribe and tell me in the comments about your impressions of this game, or if you have a game in mind you would like me to review.